So now that the year is wrapping up, there's only about 2 or 3 weeks left, depending on when this video goes out, until 2022 rolls around. So I figured it would be kind of cool to scroll back to the videos that I made in 2021 and kind of just recap the progress that we did and what we went through. So I think this video is gonna turn out pretty long. I'll try to have some type of timestamps below for you to check out and jump to certain videos or certain portions of the video. But I'm literally gonna click around some videos, watch them, react to them, and then kind of just see, you know, how far we've come along. So I'm here. This is the first video of the year of 2021, and that's me sharing with you guys that we purchased our new van.
Number one problem, it leaks Freon like crazy. I have to put a can of Freon every week in order for it to stay blowing cold. Another thing, it's stuck on recirculation. I can't turn off the recirculation of the AC. It's just always on. And you only have one setting. You're either blowing as hard as it can, you're shooting air in your face really hard, or it's off.
Yeah, so this one is I was having Lex recap the what the problems of the 1999 Dodge Caravan that we had, and at the time I think we were making anywhere between like $6,000 and $8,500 per month. The reason why it would fluctuate like that is that we were still kind of getting into the groove of things of working together. Of like up until I want to say maybe 5 months ago is when we really kind of solidified the schedule and how we operate. Like up to this point we're still like, how do we do this? How do we do that? Do I stay with you all day? Like, well, how long do we work? When do we schedule? How do we schedule? How many cars? Like, it was still a lot of learning at this point. So we were kind of floating around $6,000 to $8,500. And the thing looked like, looking back, you know, like from where I am now to where we were a year ago, the advice would, and it's like even if I go further than a year ago, let's say 3 years ago, 5 years ago, the same advice that I'd give myself or to like younger Oscar, right, is like, just whatever the goals are, just set them higher. Just whatever they are. If you're like, oh, let's make 8,000, just say 12. Whether it's 8 to 12, you're still gonna have to work a lot. You're still gonna have to go through a lot of troubles, problems, hurdles. It's still gonna be a lot of work. You're still gonna have to figure a lot of things out. So between 8 to 12, just shoot for 12. You're gonna come short either way. Come short on 12,000, you know? So it's that one, and just do more. Like you think you're capped off, you think you're doing enough, you think you're at that point, but you're not. I mean, just like from what January 29th till now, it's like it's a night and day difference. Like if I were to go back to that day right now, to exactly where I am at that time, I would have so much free time. I would have so many, like I'd basically have no work to be done because I wasn't doing as much as I actually could. So it's like, even now, like I'm gonna look at myself at the end of 22 and look back at me right now, and I say, Oscar, you thought you were doing enough. You could have done so much more. You should have set your goals bigger. So it's like it kind of applies across the board. So what I really want to do in 2022 is document a lot more, like in the day in the life videos. That way I can do this next year as well and see the progression that I've made.
And here, I mean, we're just putting...
Yeah, and looking at the van just as is right now, like, it's just, we've upgraded a lot of things. The Predator 3500 is now a Predator 8750. The 50-gallon water drum is now a 100-gallon water tank. The HP60 Spider is now a Prospector 500 EI, or E, whatever it is. There's a bunch more hose reels, and there's a bunch of reels everywhere. And it's like, it's just that, it's the same thing I say all the time. It's like progress over perfection. It's just focus on tomorrow, next week, next month. Where you are right now is not where you're gonna stay forever.
Alright, so this is...
Yeah, so I mean, when we upgraded the van, it actually helped out a lot. I posted it on my story a while back that like when you're gonna bring on a new expense, it's a little, it's scary actually. It's nervous. I was like, can we take on this $500 expense per month now? And it's not like a one-time purchase, right? It's like this is now a reoccurring expense for however many years until we pay it off. And you know, it's like you're reluctant. That's why a lot of people don't want to hire, don't want to grow, don't want to get a shop, don't want to get a van, because it's like, oh, I don't want to carry on, I don't want to take on any expenses. But I mean, this van was very, very, very crucial crucial in us to continue to grow, because when you get more space or have a bigger van, or you're just able to now produce more because you have the necessary tools, products, resources, whatever it is, that's when you start to think and act differently, right? And it's like, why don't you have that mentality now instead of waiting for the van or the bigger shop? But which, like, you 100% should. But at the same time, when you physically have it, when you're aware that you can now take on more, when you're capable of, like, you can actually do more because you have more, it changes the mindset. It's not theory or like, you know, like, oh, this might happen. It's like, hey, we have it, it's here, we can do it, let's go, let's get after it, because it's like, it's here. So getting the van was pretty important. Like, could we be exactly where we are right now with the Dodge Caravan that we had? I would say yes, just because you always figure something else out, right? But as far as the problems, the headaches, the convenience, you know, things would definitely be different, especially when you start to grow out a team. It's like, you want them to have like everything, you know, as the owner, you're willing to work with what you got because you're the owner. You're gonna, like, you know, it's just, that's what you're gonna do. But as a, when you have employees and stuff, like, you wanna make sure that they get all the resources, that they have the best that they can to get the job done. So it's a different perspective once you actually have a team and you're sending them out. It's best that they have like the proper tools, products, resources to get things done. And probably the next big phase on that one comes in March of 23rd. So 2 months later, we acquired a shop. So here's the first video of me introducing the shop.
Could have gotten a smaller office, yes, but because most of the time, most of the work that I'm going to be doing, if not all the work that I'll be doing will be in that office, I needed to have just a little bit more space to have the podcast, to have a little bit of the merch in there, to just be able to do more things that requires an office space.
Yeah, and one thing you don't notice, and it's not gonna be dependent on your goals and what you like to achieve, but man, like, you need space. Like, you might think like, oh yeah, this, you know, this warehouse space or this office space is enough. And then you start putting things in the desk, and it grows, and people and things, and this and this, that, and it's not from like, you know, oh, you don't know how to organize or how to store it. It's like, you just need more space. Like, you just need more space. And that's something that I've been like having an issue with, like, across the board. Like, dang, like, how big is too big when we go to the next shop? And it's like, do you plan for the next 2 years? Do you plan for the next 5 years at the shop? So like, right now we're in a 1,500 square foot shop. Do we go to a 5,000 square foot shop? But based on our goals and what we'd like to do and what we see in the future, should we actually go for like a 7,000 to 10,000 square foot shop and, you know, over years grow into it? But at that rate, you are spending a lot more on expenses, like on rent and everything. But at the same time, though, like, if you want to expand and continue to grow, you will eventually get to that point. Because if you're always only working with what you need right now, you'll easily outgrow it. And then you're back to where we are right now, where everything is crammed in this shop. So it's like a very, very like balancing act between like where you want to go and what time, and like just how much you're willing to spend and how much you can really afford, because all this costs a lot of money to continue to grow.
Yes, you can fit maybe 3-4 cars, and it's all empty. There's no shelving, there's no bathroom over there. You could probably fit 3 or 4 cars. Seeing that you want shelves, you need to add stuff, you need to build things out, it's going to get cluttered. Now,
yeah, so I know, like, a lot of you said that's a big shop, like that's big enough shop, like that, you know, I would be happy if I had that shop. That's what a lot of you guys said. But it's like, once you start adding things, once you start adding shelves, like, it's actually not as big as it seems. So if you get like a 1,500 square foot shop, between shelves, storage, and all that, it drops down, and then like office, restroom, waiting area, it drops down to like a whatever, like 800 square foot shop, right? Just rough numbers. But you know, if you kind of add everything that's not being used, let's say it drops down from 15 at 800. If you get like a 5,000 square foot shop, storage, shelves, all this, you know, usable space that where you're working in drops down to like, you know, 4,000 square feet. Not that that's wrong, but it's like, it's just the name of the game, right? Like, you get a bigger shop because you want to hold more stuff, and more stuff means you're gonna have less space of, you know, like actual warehouse usable space. So it is what it is. Like, it's like, that's how it works. And you know, like, it just comes down to your goals. Per the comments that I got on that video, a lot of them were like, oh, that's big enough, no, do this, change that, remove the gym from the shop. And it's like, I don't want to do that. I'd rather just work and set my goals to just be able to afford a bigger shop and to have everything that I want, versus saying, oh, no, remove that, like, I'm not about to remove the gym. I'm not removing the gym, because that's like, I want the gym in there. It's like, what am I building a business for then if I can't have what I want? Right? Like, it allowed me to just work out with friends, blast the music however I want, do my own personal workouts, never have to wait on equipment. It is something that, like, it's just a great add-on to have. All the team members use it. They're like, or they're free to use it whenever they want. So it's like, there's so many benefits to it that, like, I don't want to be like, oh, yeah, to save space, yeah, put that somewhere else. Like, no, I want to build build the business that allows me to section off, 500, 600 square feet to just a dedicated gym. Like I would love to do that. Now I would say for the initial game plan that I had with the shop versus what it's transformed to, it's a pretty night and day difference as well. Because at first it was like, we're only gonna bring in here for paint correction jobs. We're not gonna really like outfit it all the way just because we have the van still. And that quickly changed. And like anything else, like things, like your plan's gonna change once you actually start working it. And what you thought would be, steps ABC was actually AZQ exclamation point 1000 C. Like it's nowhere near what you thought would actually be. That has like the plan changing, the shop changing, like everything changing is what leads to growth, right? Like it's just like looking at things in a bigger way, in a larger way, like trying to go after these like bigger goals helps you. Most of the time, like all these videos that I'm uploading that you guys are watching, that you guys are, oh, that's so cool, this, it's like I don't know every answer. It's like we make a decision, we go that way, we look what's there, and then we're like, okay, let's do this, and then we go that way. It's not like we have the answers to everything. It's like we are actively looking for the answer while we do everything. That's literally just what we do. We don't know everything. We just look for the answer as we're moving along. Okay, so that is when we got the shop. Then let's look around here, open up the shop. We did start to hit the more frequent $800, $1,000 days. And that was really cool to see when we like started more consistently hitting like 600, 800, 1,000. Not consistently as every day, but maybe like a few times per day, we would get to that mark with just 3 people. So that was kind of eye-opening. Yeah, actually, I remember this day, and this day there was no like nothing was overly dirty, or like it was a very, very easy day actually. And I remember that one of the customers, we finished one job very, very early. So if we would have moved all the customers up earlier in the day, we could have actually finished the job like the entire day by like 3 or 4 o'clock. But it's like at that time we weren't really like. We weren't very proactive with booking customers at the shop because we were still very like mobile orientated, like mobile mindset orientated. So a lot of the jobs were mobile. So if I could go back in time to this to March 29th, what I would have done instead was like maybe kept Lex out in the field with our helper, and because they could have handled that work for the most part. I was there just to get content and to help out here and there. But what I have done, which what we're doing now, again, it's just like thinking more proactively and just like doing more, is I would have tried to book out the mobile van because that gets booked out. But then also try to get customers to the shop and have someone help me at the shop. So basically what we're running right now, a 2-man team out in the field, a 2-man team at the shop. Except just like, and it's not like anything that you do is gonna be like groundbreaking, right? It's not like, oh my God, like you just thought about the next big thing and it's now a unicorn company. No, it's literally just like thinking in different ways to come up with a plan to execute that'll get you to your bigger goal. Imagine if at that time I was like, dude, let's hit 25,000. Dude, let's hire a team. Let's build out a team. Let's like spend more money on ads. Like it's a different mindset, and like I would literally be much further had I had the same mindset now that I had just a year ago. So, but it comes with time. You learn, you grow, you get better. It's a part of the process.
They knock it down. They wash super easy, and then probably the dirtiest part of this car is going to be the engine bay. But then the superficial dirt on the top level surface of the vehicle. So overall, this one's going to be a quick in and out job as well.
Yeah, the whole day it was easy. Like there was no hard work at all. All the interiors were pretty good. All the exteriors pretty good. It was 3-4 cars today. Oh, well, 5 cars, and very straightforward. Like it was the easiest like $1,000 day that we had for sure. And then as I'm watching the video, I'm like, okay, so we hit the $1,000 days, the $800, $700, $1,000 days. So what do we do to make that $1,500 a day for 2,000? Like how do we start hitting those numbers going into 2022, right? Like what do we have to change? Obviously, is it another van? Is that, then if we get another van, that's buying a van, that's outfitting the van, that's training 2 new people, that's training a crew leader, that's putting 2 vans in the shop, that's 2 schedules we have to run. Like then what positions do we have to hire for then? How do we, who do we have to hire? How much are we gonna pay someone? How much time is that to training? How much more in ad spend do we have to run? How much is that gonna be in payroll? How much is, so it's so many other questions that you're asking when you're like, okay, so how do I double that right now then? What would that cost? How far can I really push? How much time and effort is really needed on my part to reach those goals? So it's a different level of thinking. Again, it's like whatever you're doing right now, it's like just ask yourself, how could I, like if it was just, that was your dead set committed to that goal. ask yourself like, how could I double this in the next 12 months? Whatever you're doing right now, how could I double it? And your mind starts to think, and it's like, okay, well, if I'm doing 600 right now and I want to get it to 1200 and I'm already working 8-10 hours a day, well, I can't do it by myself. So then what do I raise my prices? Do I get a van? Do I do mobile and shop? Do I get a shop so cars come to me? Or do I need help? And how many helpers do I? So your mind just starts to think differently if you just, really set those high goals. So that's something I like, even, and I can guarantee you, like, a year from now, I'll be looking at this Oscar, and I should have been like, those goals should have been higher. You should have done more. You should have, it's like you can literally repeat that process at any phase in your business. Okay, we'll stop it there. Let's go on to another video here.
Mini interior detail, and then some shampooing of like some carpenters. So we gotta extract out the extractor.
So this was actually a really fun day because it's been a while since I outfitted the van, like our HHR panel. So it was very nostalgic to put equipment in there to go to a customer's vehicle. And I believe this is one of Alex's first time where I have him talk to the customer. Because at that time, the plan was, which is where we are today, is the plan was, so this is July 16th, and we're now in December 11th. So at that time, the plan was starting to form that Lex would come back to the shop for the most part full time, and then Alex would go as a crew leader, and he's the one that's talking to the customers, accepting payment, doing in charge of the detail, and then we have someone else right along with Alex. So that way, Lex goes from the mobile crew with a helper to the shop, and then the Alex gets bumped up to a crew leader, and then he gets a helper with him, and then Lex stays at the shop, and then Lex gets a helper at the shop, and so now at that point, the shop and the van can stay booked out. So this was like its first, the plan actually going into action of like, okay, since you wanna, we've talked about it a bit, I was like, hey, just go talk to this customer today then. Like, you'll be the one that talks to the customer.
How I price it. And with anything, it's just repetition. Experience, repetition, that's it. The way you get better at anything is just repetition, repetition, repetition. The first 5 times you talk to a customer, it'll be a little shaky, little jagged. Over the next 10 times, 20 times, 40 times, you get better. You know to ask, you know to say, you know to say, you know to express. So just over time, you get better.
Yeah, so this one, Alex did speak to the customer. He quoted them and everything. I gave him I wanted him to handle everything. One, I knew it was gonna be a small job, so I wasn't worried if he underquoted or whatever. But this is also another layer of learning, right? Like we have to see okay, how do we teach Alex to be a crew leader, right? Like we already know what's involved, but like how are we gonna do with the pricing, with the quotes, with it's all the thing that we were learning as we went along. And it's just like you have to have the proper team, the proper training, this type of relationship between everyone to actually entrust them, right? Like, are we gonna send someone out to the field to be a crew leader or to do anything if we don't fully trust them? Of course not. So with Alex, he's done a great job. He's really stepped up to the plate. He's a fantastic worker. And with everyone that's here, we try to do everything that we can to make them feel comfortable, to give them all the training, the skills, the resources to be the best that they can be. And we try to put them in the place where they're gonna succeed, right? I'm not gonna put someone that's not up to that par yet to go and do it, so only for them to keep on failing, yet I'm still trying to push them to go that way, right? That's not how it's gonna work. So everyone has their place as far as what they want to do and what they can do. Some of it requires some training, some of it requires some different levels of touch points to get them to that point or to where they need to be. But so far it's worked out fantastic with Alex being a crew leader.
It's not that, then it could be editing a video. So me and Alex both do different parts in the editing process, whether it's a podcast, whether it's video, we both have our portion. So I might record a YouTube video and he'll edit the YouTube video, or he'll be editing the YouTube video and I'll be creating the thumbnail. So we both have our portion. That's how we're on the media team, because we both work on the podcast, on Instagram, and on YouTube and talk to each other. So for instance, right now, we're primarily focused on the YouTube content. But as we get better, or if we can't meet our production goal between us two, then we'll bring.
And that's a big change that I've been heavily focused on over the last 6 months or so, which I am just now, just now getting a grip on how we should be tackling the content side. Because for a little bit, Alex was actually working on the media side, meaning primarily shooting videos, editing videos. Again, it goes back to finding where people fit as far as what do they want to do, what are they good at, what fits in the process, what does the business need, where can we take it. There's a lot of elements that you have to consider. But one thing I want to get I want to be very frequent in is YouTube videos for the Detail Group channel, for the Proper Care channel on YouTube. And I want to post this daily or consistently on the Proper Care Instagram account and the Detail Group Instagram account. So there's I also, moving into 22, I want to I basically want to be a media empire and have, if possible, at best, daily videos on both YouTube channels. And now you might be saying, well, that's a lot of content. That's gonna, you're gonna burn out. That's not sustainable. Yeah, if I'm doing everything myself, but if I could put a team together where it makes sense financially, where the return is there, then it makes sense. So like right now, Alex actually ran the media for a little bit, but we also needed him as a detailer, so that was very difficult to balance out. Then we had Anthony do that for a little bit, and then now we have Junior running the media. So like I would also for 2022 love to build out the media side of things, right? Like right now it's me and Junior as the editor, but I'm still heavily based on shooting the content and getting the content. And he's heavily more on just the editing side. But moving into 2022 is if I can teach, it's gonna keep on changing. Like it is gonna 1000% gonna keep on changing. But eventually, I'd like to get to the point where, because imagine, let's just say there's 2 mobile vans and then the shop, right? So if I'm waiting for myself to go get content every single time, I'm slowing us down. If I want to go for daily content, and I can only get to 1 or 2 jobs at a time per day, that's very slow. On top of that, I can't literally just focus on content, although that's a big part of my day now. But I can't just focus on content because I still have to do a bunch of other things for the business, for both Detail Groove, for R3, for Proper. Like there's a bunch of other things that have to get addressed. So to rely everything on me, even though there are so many opportunities for content, it can't all go through me. So I want to either hire someone, like an additional shooter, to go out and document content. So let's say, and this is all a team effort, right? So let's say we get together and say, hey, Friday you're gonna have a wash and wax and a full interior cleaning on whatever, on a Honda Civic, right? It's gonna be out at a neighborhood, so it's a good location. So I'm gonna have the media team go out there and they're gonna document the process. So I would give them, we would talk about the video idea, what's the topic, and what questions to ask and what content to get. That way they can go out. So let's say the mobile team goes out to do the job, obviously, and then the media team goes with them to get videos for everything. But basically is moving into 2022, I'm gonna heavily invest on the media side. It's gonna cost a lot of money because it's gonna cost a lot of money because that is getting a bunch more gear. Like not even that, like with just Junior and I working as the editor and me, we are racking up so much footage that it's eating up a lot of memory. So right now we keep on buying SSDs. Each SSD of like 2 terabytes is I think like $200 and something. But within like 2 weeks, we're going through 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes of space. So eventually I'm gonna have to invest into a NAS system. If anyone knows anything about NAS, let me know because you could greatly help me out in that one. But it would be, investing in like a entry level, like whatever, $2,400 setup that we can continue to expand over time. But going into 2022, it is like, how do we heavily invest in content on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube? And I don't mean everything's gonna run through me, right? Like it's not like I'm gonna be the one that's like in the video every single time and recording every single time and editing every time. The way I'm looking at content is like, how can we like put this into a system with everyone's input, right? On creativity, shooting, it's like, how do we all work together to say, okay, we're gonna have that detail that day. Here's the topic, here's what we're gonna do, here's the plan, here's like how I want the video to come out. So you go shoot it, you're gonna edit it, here's so it's like, I don't need to be the one that's doing every single last thing because there's so much opportunity for content. And now we have the creator economy, and it's just like you could just capitalize and like use that as leverage to grow other businesses. So like Proper Care, eventually we do want to launch our own brand of products at that point, and it's just like we have the opportunity to get so much content here. And not that I have a goal with every single last thing of every piece of content that I'm gonna create, but it's like, just create the content because it's all there, And of course, there's like a financial incentive behind this, right? Like I can't just get content and record content and publish content just because I want to get content, right? Like there is a financial incentive behind it, right? We are going to create other brands, other sources of revenue, build out other teams to sustain this. But it's gonna it's gonna cost a lot of money because it's like gear in itself, which that would require what? More cameras, more mics, more laptops, more storage. On top of that, training, right? Because I don't expect that every single last person that I hire to come here with like years and years of experience. As we continue to grow and expand, you can hire better talent, but in training and resources and just hiring people and paying them paying them hourly, that's gonna cost a lot of money as well. So going into 2022, I really want to invest and focus in on the content side of R3, Proper Care, and Detail Groove across YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, and whatever the platforms come about. So I think that's enough on this video. Let's go to the next one here.
So it's been almost a year since Lex and I have been working together, and I actually have footage of probably one of the first. But we're not gonna steam the entire scene like we're doing here. It's primarily gonna be just.
Yeah, so this video is me reviewing content from when Lex and I first joined a year ago, and this was back in July. So with this one, it's just crazy to see how our process changes. Like, we don't use a steamer anymore to work on cloth seats. It's just like, that's just, and like with your bit, like, it's gonna change, it's gonna evolve. So right now you're doing this exact system and you think you have it down, and then 3 months, 6 months, 9 months go by, and you're gonna be like, and it's just gonna keep on changing. The more tools you get, the more education, the more experience, the more things you try out, things are gonna change. One thing I'll tell you that we didn't really do much about is like change a lot of products, right? It's not like we went from this APC to that APC to this sealant to that sealant to that rinseless wash product to that rinseless wash. We didn't do much of that because it's like we're not with the mentality of like look for the best product. It's just find what works. You might need one or two of them, right? Maybe there's one that works better in the sun versus like, when it's cold outside. So there might be one or two variations of the products that we're using, but we're not out there testing a new product every other week to find the best one. It's like one that works, you keep on using that. So process change, the actual product in itself, that doesn't change too much. Although over time we would try things. I'm not saying that we don't ever do that. But it's definitely not a point of emphasis when we're kind of changing up things. It's like we're going to change the process and the system, not so much the actual product that we use, because that can always change.
So large, there's 12 gallons of water. There's a drain in the back of the extractor. You lift up, it drains out the water into a bucket, and then from the bucket we discarded it. So it's a pretty big difference. And they just wanted to see a year ago what we were using, and then the big old peeling machine that we have now, which I have a few videos.
Yeah, there's one thing I always keep on saying is like it does help a lot to have a bigger setup. Like the difference between having to take out an extractor and a big clunky extractor like that versus being able to keep the extractor in the van the entire time and having things on reels, it does make a dramatic difference. Like it's a night and day difference when you have the proper setup. All right, so now let's keep on going on here. So I think maybe this was our first time making $15,000 in a month.
I think a bigger goal just helps you think different in terms of, okay, like if I want to hit 20, if the real goal is 25,000, and we hit 15,000 this month, right? Then what is the difference of 15,000 per month and 25,000 per month? And if we're getting choked up in a few places at 15,000, then how can we fix that, mitigate it, reduce it, eliminate it, to where it doesn't become a bottleneck at 20 or 25,000, right? So
and that's very true. Yeah, like even now that we weren't able to hit 25,000 for the year. There's quite a few things that went into like what kind of stumped us at 25,000, or because the highest we got to was 20,000. But it's crazy to think like even me hearing that in August of this year. It's like I can already tell the difference in like how to think about goals, because even then, like even though I had the goal of 25,000, I definitely was not taking enough action to reach that goal. Like the mindset is still the same, but it was like the level of action was not the same. So like if I were to teleport back to August 3rd, my mindset of what we should do to achieve 25,000 would be completely different than what it is right now. So goals to show you, it's not just about setting a goal. It's not just about like, you can do a lot more than what you think you're currently doing. Like whatever you're doing right now, you can do a lot more. And I don't mean in the sense of like, you gotta work more hours. You have to, get up earlier. You have to stay up later. It's not in that regard. It's saying like, you wanna get through more cars. Like, okay, if I'm working 10 hours, okay, time to work 14 hours. Or you just get a helper, right? Like there's many ways that you can look at it. But I don't mean in the sense of like, go out and do more work. Like I would say, like when I say you can do a lot more, it's like we could do a lot more by having the mobile team go out. We could do a lot more by having a team here at the shop working all the time. We could do a lot more by having a shooter go and get the content. We could do a lot more where a shooter's getting the content and then the editor is editing and I'm creating other videos. That's what I mean by you can do a lot more. It's setting out like it's just kind of detaching and hiring people to do other tasks so you can just do more. That's what I mean. Not you as a singular person, but you as a singular person that kind of, orchestrates everything else.
You can't do it all alone, and you shouldn't do it all alone. The mobile van is not operated by Lex or myself. It is primarily, as of right now, operated by Alex. He is the crew leader. He's the one that is in charge of the mobile unit. He's the one that talks to the customer, greets the customer, accepts payment from the customer, gives up on a price to the customer.
Yeah, look, I get it. It's your business. It's your baby, as you like to say. But it's like, most of the things that are done in the business are not that difficult. I mean, just think about literally any other company. And I don't mean like the Apples and the Googles and the Microsofts. Just think about your local carpet cleaning company that has 25 employees, that has 10 vans, and they're making, 10 million a year. Or think about like, don't even go that far to $1 trillion company or $1 billion company. Like, think about more local. It's like, why are they able to grow, right? Like, why are they able to make more money than everyone else? Or why are they able to just to keep on hiring, getting more vans, has a facility, like why do they have 25 people on payroll? It's because they just keep on growing. They don't see it as like, oh, only I can do it as the owner. No, you have the processes, the training, the systems in place to cultivate good workers, to have to hold quality high even as you hire. And that in itself comes with a lot of headaches. Like, the more you hire, the harder it is to maintain quality. But that's the whole, like, that's just a challenge in itself. Like, I get why people don't want to like expand and get more help, is because you have to go out there, and it's so much easier just to kind of be on your own, and you're the one that has to just do all the work yourself. But like, that is another challenge. Like, how do you maintain quality when you go from 1 to 3 to 7 to 10 people, right? And it comes to like investing into your people, into the training, into the resources, into the education, how you hire, building the relationship with each individual person. Like, that's what it comes down to. It's a lot more work, can lead to a lot more headaches, but it's just, I mean, it all depends on your goals, of course.
Once they're out the door and you just send them off and they're going to do a good job, like they're going to do the job, then it makes your life so much easier to know, like, when the van is...
Yeah, and that's the point. Like, I know everyone gets stuck on the training and the hiring, and I got to watch over them, and they're going to make it so much more difficult. And it's like, yes, those things can be very true, right? The learning process, like, it's like some are going to be good, some are not going to be good. But think about it on the other side. What happens when you find that guy that can hold it down for you? What happens when you find that guy that holds the quality, that loves his job, that wants to work well in the company to help it grow? What happens when you find that person, Tell me what opportunities come when the guy always shows up on time. That's always willing, well, not always, but you get the point. Like, that's willing to stay late, that's willing to learn, that's willing to help, that's willing to grow, that wants you to go, hey boss, you know what, you want to go to 20,000 a month. What can I do to help us get there? Once you find that guy, what does it do to your business? Everyone's so stuck on like, oh, it's so much work and I gotta watch over this. Okay, but what about the guy that you finally find that's gonna do everything that position needs? Then it's a different ballgame, and that's the mentality you need to have. Not the, oh, but it's too much work and I gotta pay the guy and I don't want to. Think about the other way. Once I find the guy that can help me get to the next goal, we can service more cars. I can hire someone else because that guy can watch over it. I can expand and go over here. It's just the dynamic completely changes in the business.
There's only one of you, and you will always be the most passionate and the most skilled detailer because you have the most skin in the game. It's your business. It's your livelihood. Now,
and as a tangent, just watching this video, is like, definitely never settle on any goals that you set, right? Like, as soon as we hit 15,000 and I told the team and everything, and it was all cool and stuff, but I was like, okay, dude, like, I don't care about 15,000 though, right? What's the North Star that you're looking at, Even setting 25,000, like, 25,000 is just a stepping stone, but it's not like the end all be all. It's not like once we hit 25,000, I'm like, oh my God, dude, like, we've made it. No, as soon as we cross 25,000, it's like, okay, next goal. So like, be very clear with your vision of like where you want to go. That way you never settle for anything less. That way you don't get sidetracked and they're like, oh man, we hit 15,000. Oh, time to take a little break. Let's just kind of, like, you don't want that to happen. So for me, it's like 15,000 was a good milestone. I paid it no mind. We hit 20,000. I was like, great, but I don't care about it. Like, we need to keep on going. 20,000 is not where we need to be at. Granted, we didn't hit our goals. I know exactly why. I could say that in another episode or another podcast. But for sure, like, I know for a fact, like, when we hit 20,000, I was like, okay, dude, like, tomorrow's a new day, tomorrow's a new month. Like, if we don't hit, if we don't continue on our goals and keep on pushing, what does it mean if we hit 20,000 last month? So don't rest on your laurels. You have to keep on pushing.
So last month, we finished off with $20,195 in revenue. It's the most we've ever made in a single month. So in this video, I'm going to give you my general thoughts and give you like a high-level overview of, the services, the kind of the takeaways, the biggest lessons, and just my general thoughts on what helped us to achieve hitting $20,000 in revenue.
Yeah, so this is when we hit 20,000 for our first time. It was $20,195. And it was a lot more work. Like, we had a team of 4 at the time. And so obviously, if you divide 20,000 by 4 weeks, it doesn't give you $5,000 per week. It is, yeah. If you you delete that part. It was just for me to confirm. So that was $20,195 in a month. So you divide that by 4, that's gonna give you $5,000 per week. So our most, maybe some weeks was like 49, the other one was like 52, but let's say averaging out 5,000 a month. and that was with 4 people, and it was a lot of work. And not only that, but the space of the shop. So I forgot what video, or was it a podcast episode, that I mentioned that Alex, he put it perfectly with the shop. He's like, this shop is not meant for growth, because if we had a lot of cars coming in through the shop, like we still had a lot of mobile cars, but we also had a lot of cars coming to the shop, and with the limitations of the parking lot, with the limitations of the warehouse space, there was so many bottlenecks of like waiting to move cars around. One car had to wait while we had to pull the other one in. Like it was, there was so many bottlenecks in trying to hit 20,000. We got it done. It was very cumbersome. It was very annoying. But the thing that I saw from it is like, it's not sustainable to do that. If we're trying to hit, let's say 25,000, 30,000, there's no way we're doing that at this shop comfortably. It's just not happening. Even if we get a second van, it's just not happening, because the place that the physical location that we're in is not set up for that kind of volume. So that's one thing that I really have to face next year, of like, how do I keep on trying to get more cars with this very limited space? And on the contract, there's still like a year and a half, 2 years left. So I'd have to kind of, work with something, and the truth is, it might end up costing us a lot of money, right? Because if I can't get out of the contract, if I can't find someone to sublease it, if whatever, and we have to go get a bigger shop that's like 5,000, 7,000 square feet shop, and we start paying that one over there, well, guess what happens with this one? We still have to keep on paying it, right? Because you can't just exit a contract. You have to, pay the advancement of the entire contract, or kind of work with whoever to say, hey, I'll pay you for a year, but not the whole, 2 years, or whatever the case. But it comes down to talking and negotiating. But it's like, regardless, some money's going to be thrown away. Like, some money is going to be wasted. Not some money. A lot of money is going to be wasted making that transition if it comes to that point. And it's like, so it's just 100%, this is a big bottleneck. How, like, getting cars through here, and multiple cars at that, like 2 to 3 cars per day, it's a big hassle. With the parking, like, it's a big hassle that... And I've asked Lex and Alex too, and I'm like, dude, like, imagine if we get to 25, 30,000, do you want to put up with moving these cars in and out the entire time? Each one of them was like, dude, absolutely not. Like, it's not fun. It's cumbersome. It's annoying. It's frustrating. So that's something I have to, like, I don't have a solution right now. I don't have a solution to how we're gonna manage the shop thing. Even if we get another van, it's still like, once we start increasing leads, right? Once we start running more ads, once we start generating more leads again, right? They're still gonna come in, right? It's like, we can still book out the van as much as we can, or as much as we want, but just by the law of numbers, a lot of those leads will turn into shop cars too, and it's like, we're back to that situation. So, I'll let you guys know what happens. So obviously, I'll make a video about it. But for now, that is going to be a big problem.
Double what you usually do on a Tuesday, but you don't have the manpower to help you knock out double the work on a Tuesday, well, then you're going to be working long hours. You're going to work...
Yeah, and that was one thing when it came to hitting that 20,000. It was long hours for everyone. Now, because it was our first month hitting that, you never want to jump the gun too early when it comes to hiring, and over hire for just like the next month to fall back down to like 15,000. At some point it's like, you have to have confidence in the brand and the growth, but at the same time it's like, you don't want to do like you don't want to just be a one-time thing and then it just not work out from then. So, but again, even that, going back to hiring, even hiring one other person, it's like, it's very it's annoying because there's no space here. Like, there's no physical spots that you can fit more cars. And I don't mean us, I mean like with all the other businesses around us, it makes it very difficult for people just to park, let alone try to fit 2-3 other cars that are customers' vehicles here. That's what I'm talking about. So it was a lot of work. And it's like, we brought in help when we could, but I could see like, if we start to hit, if we want to get on track to hit 20,000 more consistently, we have to hire 1 to 2 more people to kind of, to not overwork everyone, right? Like, everyone's here is willing to work 50 hours a week, right? If that's what it calls for. 1, because they're going to get paid, overtime and everything. But 2, just because like, we want to push the brand forward. But at the same time, it's like, you don't want to overwork anyone, right? Like, if you want to have those weeks where like, if you have to push, right? Hey, guys, we might have to hit like 50, 55 hours this week. Okay, everyone's down. But to, by default, always say, hey, dude, like, for the rest of the next 2 months, it's 55 hours. It's like, come on. That's also not fun. So it's a balancing act between when you hire someone and when you don't, or do you bring someone on part-time, and that in itself brings us, everything you bring its own problem, because I could lay out a huge list of problems of a part-time versus a full-time employee. I can name you a lot of pros and cons to that as well. So it's like you figure it out as you go along. Like I couldn't tell you how we're gonna hire or when or how much or like I just don't know. But if we're consistently hitting 20,000, or we plan to consistently hit 20,000, then I have to think more in advance of okay, I don't want to kill everyone with work. So when do we hire? How do we hire? What do we like? What position role do we need? So that's something that I have to look for, really pay attention to moving forward into 2022.
Bro, you have to start to delegate the tasks. You have to train people, hire people, train people to be able to perform the tasks to your standard. And then that allows you to go and focus on other tasks like marketing, like sales, like creating new offer, like creating new service.
And that's the problem. Like if right now there's 4 of us in total, right? How do you keep up the training, the quality? How do you keep the morale up when there's now 8 people, right? It's like it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to keep on expanding. And I know the word sounds cool, like expand, grow, 20% increase in revenue, making more money, yada yada yada. But it's like that comes with its huge problems, right? And not only problems, but you got to spend a lot more money when it comes to growing. Like you will, like I told you about the media part. Like if that in itself is like a segment of the business, right, for all 3 of them. But that in itself is gonna cost a lot of money to just do that portion, let alone trying to expand on the detailing side and like more equipment, more vans, more like a bigger, like that in itself is gonna eat up a lot of money. But the whole point is like obviously you're gonna see the return, or at least that's the that's the game plan, that you'll see the return over time. Once you get everything set up, you're able to take on more cars, hire more people, make more money per day, yada yada yada. But it's like it's gonna be a huge investment. A good portion of that is gonna be like wasted money. You think it's gonna work, it didn't. You train someone, they leave. You train someone, that doesn't work out. So it's not like every dollar that you spend is gonna be a positive ROI. Like you're gonna lose out on money. Some of it great investment, some of it like fantastic, but just the reality is like some of that money will be lost.
The last week of the month, I was literally in the shop, just like I did not spend time in the office. I didn't work on the website. I didn't want anything other than to respond to customers, to book them in, and I was out here in the shop. That means that for one whole week, I did nothing to move the business forward. And
that's one thing I 100% want to stay away from as we continue to grow. If I have to stop doing everything else in the business, and when I mean business, I mean all 3 things: R3 Detailing, Detail Groove, and Proper Care. If I have to stop all 3 things to just be out in the shop to just work, that's a problem. Because what happens? The videos don't get out. The creative meetings don't happen. Just everything else comes to a halt, and all I'm doing out there is just working on one singular car for that time that I'm there. And that's not like literally everything stops. Let's say videos, like publications, like publishing a video on 3 different channels, reviewing videos from the editor, shooting new videos, creating pages for the websites, whether it's like launching a course, writing emails, creating Instagram content, like everything else stops when I'm like, dude, there's so much work, like I just need to get to the car. That's a big no-no. Not that I won't go out there to help, because of course I am, like that's never gonna stop. But there's a difference between I'm gonna go out there like just to boost everyone for like an hour or 2 and just to kind of get cars moving, to where I have to be out there for the next 5 hours because we're so behind. And like from 7 to 1 o'clock, I'm just working. I take a 40-minute break to respond to emails, and to do a little bit here and there. And then for the other 3 hours, I'm back in the shop just working. Because once that happens and like chaos is going on and all I'm doing is working, at the end of the day, it's like I'm kind of drained to do anything else, right? Because it's not like I'm just working. I'm working. I'm still talking to customers. I'm kind of moving people around to see where they need to go. If the mobile crew runs into something, I'm talking to them, helping them out. So it's a lot more things that I have to handle, which like just being out there working really messes that up. So that's why it's like important to have a team, to know what needs to be done, to have goals laid out for the week, to say, hey, like this is what I need to accomplish. And at some point you draw the line the line in the sand and says, look, like I can only work this much, because if I'm so stuck in just working on a specific vehicle or just working in general, like it stops everything else from moving. And it costs more money for me to just go work on a vehicle than to not work on the vehicle and keep everything else running. Like that is the reality. Like it costs, I waste more money, or it costs me more money to work on a vehicle than to keep literally everything else running. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, and I'll stop that video right there. Let's see if there's anything else. I think that would probably stop it right there, because other than that, I started doing different videos. Okay, so I'll actually end it right there. There's like 3 minutes left on the camera for me to record. So I'll end it right here. Let me know what you guys think. I'm probably gonna do another video like this except on a podcast. So you can check the video description below for the Detailing Business Class podcast. I'll do like a whole recap, except like with more specific notes and like just more structured here. It was just kind of winging it, or more of a reaction video. But yeah, so I'll probably make another video on that. And yeah, we're moving into the new year. I'm very pumped. Like it's crazy to see like how even over the last 30 days, like how I've progressed. And I'm like, oh, now I'm seeing things differently. Now I kind of have a better sense of like over the last 30 days to the last 3 months. I'm like, oh, like I can already see the difference in what we need to do and how we need to get there. So I'll end the video right here. Let me know your comments. I went all over the place. This is a really long video, but hopefully you guys enjoyed it. And I'll talk to you on the next one. Bye-bye.